they say there are no moral victories in the NFL, and, well, they're right. There aren't. But Sunday's loss certainly feels like a little bit of one because it shows good promise to the future despite being 3-6 in the moment. I don't know if I lifted any spirits up, but I'm trying here. The boys are home Sunday against Tom Brady and the Bucs. This is the digital edition of Black and Blue Kickoff Live. I am Will Kunkel. That is Josh Schiff. What's up, man?
I'm doing well. How you doing, my friend?
I'm living the dream.
There you go. And, you know, we got a lot to get to on tonight's show to get you ready for Sunday's game. But first, we want to hear from you. So pull out your phones, folks, these things that everybody has. Use the hashtag BBKL. Join in on the discussion because we got a lot to talk about. And, of course, as always, we want to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm waiting for mine to load.
Yeah. You need better service, clearly.
I'm getting the circle of death.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I'm just trying to just like it because you got to like it and you got to share it so that everybody can see it. Just give me a second. All right, I like it.
I'm sure the people are really enjoying you doing this.
This is good television. This is just good digital television. All right.
Shall we continue?
We shall. It has been a season to forget for Christian McCaffrey. I think that's fair to say, and it seems to be getting worse. The Panthers running back is expected to miss Sunday's game after a shoulder injury late in KC. Sunday was the first time that the NFL's highest paid running back ever was on the field since week 2 after he hurt his ankle in Tampa. Now losing McCaffrey again would just be another huge blow for this offense, Josh, so that's just not cool.
Let's lift the spirits of the people, though. It's not all doom and gloom in Carolina. The Panthers on Tuesday designated safety Justin Burris for return from that injured reserve list, which begins his 21-day practice window for activation to the 53-man roster. Now, Burris has missed the last 3 games after suffering a rib injury at home against the Bears. With yesterday's news, expect to see Burris on the field sooner rather than later.
And he did practice today, as did Jeremy Chin, which is awesome. Now, both teams are coming off tough losses, that being the Bucs and the Panthers. The Cats were a Joey Sly kick away from pulling the upset in KC. Granted, it went wide right by 5 yards, but it did have the leg.
It was windy out there.
67 yards, so it was a bomb. Now, Teddy, he and the offense did most of the lifting, but the defenses got to get what necessary. Even though they couldn't, it was still a close game and came down to the final possession.
Well, hey, at least you got the Bucs coming to town, and they look like a Pop Warner team on Sunday night, getting blown out by the Saints on national television. I mean, Panthers fans, you had to love that, but here's the thing. This team still's chock.
The day you got 2 pissed off teams coming in ready to battle each other.
I think when you play a team, 2 times, it's kind of like a revenge almost, or so you really actually get to know the people that you're playing against, kind of what they like to do and things like that.
There were a lot of things that we didn't do well, especially up front, protecting the quarterback and running the football. Coach Bowles' defense did a nice job that day. Brady had like 200 yards passing in the first half. I think we were better in the second half. But the main thing was that, we beat ourselves with turnovers and bad plays and I think that game was a sort of an early turning point for us. We came back, and I think since then the guys have played much more cohesive, team-oriented football since then.
All right, so this week we're taking a quick trip down south to Spartanburg, South Carolina from WSPA-TV. We've got Pete Yanity. What's happening, Pete?
Not a whole lot, guys. Of course, Spartanburg with the Panthers for many years, for a couple of decades plus, roughly, trained. But anyway, I don't know if that'll ever happen here again. That's about the best I got for you on that note.
So the Panthers' offense, Pete, has been struggling, let's say, late in games. How do they right the ship late in games?
Yeah, I thought the gutty call to have Bridgewater go for it and become Superman on that play late against the Chiefs. I just in general, one of the positives during the injury to McCaffrey when he missed the 6 games was that Curtis Samuel started to be used creatively. And people forget that at Ohio State, he was given the ball in handoffs as much as he was throwing the football. And I think if there's a silver lining here, since that kind of seems to be the theme of what I've heard from you guys so far, is that maybe you continue to develop Curtis Samuel as the playmaker everyone thought he was going to be when they used the draft pick on him a few years ago. And so I say late in ball games with a team that probably wasn't expected to even have 3 wins by this point. Continue to try some things, go for it on 4th down, move it around, get Samuel involved. Maybe that helps out the wide receivers a little bit. I think Curtis Samuel is a guy who this weekend should be utilized to combine with Mike Davis, with McCaffrey more than likely not playing.
Panthers are going to have an interesting decision to make with Curtis Samuel after this season. But let's talk about the now and this weekend with Tom Brady coming to town after one of his worst games pretty much ever. Do the Panthers need to follow a similar recipe that the Saints did to make old Tommy uncomfortable?
I got to say, game one against the Saints in this past Sunday, Brady has not looked great. I would think he's the kind of guy, and I don't know if the Panthers are this kind of defense, but for a guy that's that savvy, you've got to figure out what makes him the most uncomfortable. The Saints obviously have figured that out. Does that mean some pressure? Would it help to have Jeremy Chin back healthy for this game? Sure. Tom Brady, though, interestingly, I believe Bridgewater has thrown for like 18 more yards than he has, which I found to be kind of a surprising stat when I looked it up earlier today. The thing about Tom Brady is he tends to get the mental game figured out real fast. So if one team has messed him up, by gosh, he seems to quickly be able to adjust and adapt. So I've got to think he's doing a big self-study this week on what went wrong against New Orleans. And that's why I think, unfortunately for the Panthers, you'll see a pretty good bounce back from him.
Now, I don't know about you, but we said in the pregame show, BBKL on Sunday morning, that we didn't really think that if this became down to a tit-for-tat offense against offense, the Panthers were in trouble. It came down to that, and frankly, they really weren't in trouble. But now no CMC, so can they play that game against the Bucs if it's just trying to see who has the ball less, scores, and wins?
If they can score 31 points against the Bucs, I think they'll be fine. What I think is that as Antonio Brown becomes more a part of what they do, as they they've got some good wide receivers. They've not necessarily been fully healthy there, and I think that's a big story for them. And, Ronald Jones is a guy that I think people forget about. He's averaging over 4 yards a carry. I think Fournette was a good addition for them. I think Tampa Bay is one of those teams that they've got a lot of veterans, a lot of guys you recognize, but they're all still in the early stages of playing with each other. Really, the only common link for Tom Brady is Gronkowski in that offense in terms of going through an entire season with that. So I think it's something else that people forget about with Tampa Bay is that that's an offense still kind of everyone trying to get to know each other, especially the guy behind center.
And Antonio Brown's one of those guys, and my biggest fear is that he's going to bust out one of these weeks, and you just hope it isn't coming this week. So with that, I ask you, who you got Sunday?
I think Tampa Bay is going to come in and make it a regular season sweep of the Panthers. I just have a feeling that this is a Carolina team that will crash a little bit after almost pulling off what would have been a stunning upset. I think not having McCaffrey is a weapon you really need to have in the kind of game I think it'll be on Sunday.
Pete, you're the man. We appreciate you. Go get some dinner in between now and your next show.
Thanks, guys. Good luck.
All right, so you know what time it is. Pull out those phones once again. Actually, you never should have put them away. But either way, it's time to win some free swag. The question this week is, how many sacks will the Panthers defense get on old Tom Brady? Tweet the answer now using the hashtag BBKL. We want to hear from you on how many times Brady will get sacked.
That's a good question. Sometimes these questions are like, so will the Panthers put on their uniform before the game? Just say yes. What's your guess here?
How many times? I mean, the Panthers are, the worst team when it comes to sacks in the NFL, so I wouldn't have that number very high. But then again, Brady got sacked a whole bunch last week, so, maybe like 2 or 3. What are you saying?
Did you know Derek Brown has the second most QB pressures of any rookie in the NFL, just behind Chase Young?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so I'm looking at you, DB. I'm looking at you to take down TB for some sacks so we can get the dub. All right.
He's ready to eat.
A lot of letters there. NFL owners, they've unanimously approved a plan to expand the playoffs from 14 to 16 teams, but only if meaningful games are canceled due to COVID-19. Now, that's obviously a big if. So, however, we've seen multiple teams get hit hard by the virus this season. So we got to keep an eye on that going down the stretch. For now, this is just a contingency plan, which is smart. Have your ducks in a row. Go to that plan if you need to. Unlike some of the college programs we're looking at right now, they're just holding themselves like, I don't know what to do. It's because you planned poorly, Big Ten. Josh, do you like the idea of a 16-team playoff?
Yeah, I'm always in favor of planning as opposed to getting to a situation where you're like, what do we do in this situation? So, yeah, the plan, if they need to put it in place, sounds like a good plan to me. So I'm all for it. You?
What about in the future? Do you like it? 16 teams?
No expansion in the future just for the sake of expansion. This isn't let's let everybody in and see what happens. This isn't the NCAA tournament. And I love March Madness, but this is the NFL.
That's my biggest pet peeve with the NBA playoffs is that everybody gets in, and teams that are under 500 get in, which is unacceptable.
Yeah, unless the Hornets get in, then we love it.
Absolutely. They deserve to be in.
Of course. All right, either way, Curtis Samuel went nuts last week, catching 9 targets, throwing his total in that game to 105 and a touchdown. He even got some action running the ball. Samuel is on the list on the last year, that is, of his rookie contract. So, Will, it begs the question, if you're the Panthers GM, are you giving this man the money, the Skrilla, the dough? I ran out of other things to say, but are you giving it to him this offseason?
I think so. He's young, and the way that Joe Brady and Matt Rule use him in this offense is the way that we thought he should have been used. Listen, the last regime, God bless them, awesome dudes. Love Ron, love Norm. Not the most creative on the offensive side with that offense, and not to mention they had a hurt quarterback. But the way they utilized Curtis Samuel pre-snap and motions, getting him the ball, that's the way you got to utilize him, like Taysom Hill. This dude does everything, and he's such a weapon. Curtis Samuel reminds me a lot of Percy Harvin, who was so good in the open field and could do pretty much anything when the ball was in his hands. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you said it all right there. It's so funny because, all right, slow down, Will. I think last week I was asked this question, and I said, no, you keep DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and you can go out and either draft another good receiver, because how many good receivers are being drafted these days? I mean, DJ Metcalf, Jefferson, Ruggs, Judy, all these dudes come into the league. But then the Panthers sort of unlocked how you should have been using Curtis Samuel in the last couple of weeks. So he almost becomes more valuable than a DJ Moore, dare I say, in this offense. So if you continue to use him like this, bring him back, because he's just so valuable, and McCaffrey gets healthy, and then I like the tools they got going forward.
Just his ability to carry the ball makes him a little bit more dynamic than DJ. But the thing with this offense is it could be Robbie Anderson that we're talking about next week, and then we don't hear Curtis Samuel for 2 weeks, or then DJ Moore for a couple weeks, and we don't hear Curtis Samuel. So with this offense, everybody gets a little bit of piece of the pie.
You know the thing about himself right now? Which is good for Curtis. He is literally driving up his price. So now you got to see who's going to throw a ton of money at him, and then is Marty Herney going to be like, well, we got to match this. We got to. It'll be interesting to see. Either way, Sunday morning, we are live from Bank of America Stadium for Black and Blue Kickoff Live. We'll be joined, as always, by Carly Gebhardt, Al Wallace, Kevin Connolly. Is he still perfect?
Gosh, I'm so tired of that. Kevin!
I think he is. All right, either way. And then this week, look at that face. Now, I'm talking about myself or you, but we're talking about DJ Moore, wide receiver extraordinaire. We'd like to see a big game from him. He wasn't really in the offense last week. I'll ask him about that. Well, a full-on conversation with him that'll be on the show, 10 a.m. Be sure to check your local Next Star station for the information.
That's a seductive look from DJ right there.
It really is.
Are you enticed?
I'm enticed to talk to him.
Okay, cool.
That's where I draw the line.
Carry on.
While you're still watching, make sure you hit the button, the like button, that is, on Facebook. And don't forget, if you got any way to reach out to us or want to ask us any questions or anything like that, use the hashtag BBKL, plus answer the question we gave you before for a free giveaway. Yeah, we're running out of those shirts, by the way. We got to actually re-up on our order because there's so much in demand, which is awesome. Now, make sure to follow Josh and I on Twitter, at Will Kunkel, Fox46, at Josh, Fox46. Stay updated on the Black and Blue. We hope to see you later tonight on CSL. Hashtag BBKL. See you tonight, guys.